Farmer's Daughter's Diner in Marilla, New York, is in the best tradition of American small town diners and has recently been opened by longtime friends Julie, Carol, and Ken. Stepping inside the diner for the first time really drove the point home to me to just how important it is for any business to meet the expectation you have in your mind's eye when you're walking into a place. And when your mind's eye and the business name, architecture, decor, and offerings all work in perfect unison, all you can do is just smile and take it all in. And from the looks of the satiated, happy diners when I sauntered into the place for the first time on an average weekday afternoon a few months ago, Farmer's Daughter does just that. It offers all the warmth and charm and great food that we've all come to expect from a place like this. And Julie, Carol, and Ken, along with their head chef Jamie, are doing it right. I met you guys the first day when I came in there, and you guys were only open for what at that point?
Oh gosh, maybe a week or two.
Oh, wow. So you were just now, had any of you had previous restaurant experience?
I did. I worked in restaurants. I actually worked in this restaurant when I was in college.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I waitressed here. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then I went on to do, I moved to South Carolina for college and stayed there for a while, lived in Florida for a while, and I did a lot of restaurant work down there.
Right.
I worked for Chick-fil-A. I worked for a bar and grill. I worked in an ice cream shop, front of the house, back of the house. I kind of did a little bit of everything.
Well, that's perfect because you have to have that experience, I think, to run a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then Ken and Carol worked for probably 20 plus years, I think it was. They lost track of how long.
Their lifers.
With our benevolent association, they run the food stand every year. And that's everything. That's waitressing, that's ordering the food, that's, setting up, breaking down. All that accountability for them was, they brought that to the table.
Wow. And so what was the impetus behind this, though? Like, so you guys were friends, correct?
Yes.
And
yes.
Then was this like sitting around every once in a while, having a few beers, and you're like, man, we really got to just open our own restaurant? Or was this more of a long-term plan that you guys had? It was just a matter of finding the pieces that fit together.
I wanted to buy this restaurant for years, and it just never came up for sale. And Ken and Carol had looked at buying the Marilla Grill, which is down on the corner of T-Rod and Bullis.
Mm-hmm.
And it fell through. It's actually, it's a good thing it fell through. There's a lot of issues with the actual physical building.
Oh, God, you don't want that. That's what you don't want.
And, we'd gone over it because I have a degree in business. So I was like, well, you need a business plan. Let's work on that. And we sat down together quite a bit and worked on that. And they were, really ready to go. And then the sale fell through. And I can't remember if I drove by or somebody drove by and called me.
Uh-huh.
I think I drove by and saw this for sale sign, and I called Ken or texted Ken and said, hey, this is for sale. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. And I said, are you looking for a partner? And it just kind of took off from there. I think we saw it within a day or two of the sign going up, and then we called
Father's Day.
On Father's Day.
Wow.
And just to look at it and see, I knew kind of what was involved here.
Sure.
And, kind of get an idea of what we were looking at and what the condition was and what we needed to do to make it ours.
Right. Now,
and then,
but you already worked there, though, correct? And then it had shut down, correct?
It shut. I worked there. I worked here in college, so that was 30 years ago.
Okay. So that wasn't recent.
No, that was a long time ago. That was 30 years ago.
So how long had it been shut down before you guys went into it?
She shut down in March of 2020 when COVID hit.
Okay, so another casualty of the pandemic.
Yeah, and
it was on the market.
It was on.
After.
Yeah, it was. It
went on the market June of
21.
Wow.
And we jumped on it as quick as we could. It's not something that goes on the market very often in Marilla.
No, that's a thing. Like the stars aligned.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's totally one of those things. And it's, I see that all the time in business. I've been doing this now for 15 years, and I've talked to thousands of small business owners. And it's not even an indicative thing of a small business. It's really just indicative of life. It's one door closes, another one opens, that type of thing. And that's what happened to you with the grill, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it just wasn't the right thing. It wasn't the right place, and God
Nope.
only knows what was waiting on the backside of that door for you.
That
So,
was that was actually pre-COVID, so thank goodness that fell through because we would have lost everything.
see, and yeah, and you don't know, and that
Yeah.
time period for everybody was
Oh, thank you,
so
thank you.
insane. Like there was no way to predict how long it was going to last, what the ramifications were going to be, where you were going to get any assistance, if you were going to get any assistance. So it
Right?
was probably the best thing that could have happened to you guys. And
Exactly.
so now, so it was a pretty quick sale then, right? You guys got in.
About 6 months.
It took us about 6 months.
It was a hurry up and wait game. And
We didn't actually sign the paperwork until December 31st.
Well, oh wow, okay. So this is
Yeah.
like just
And
happening.
we were ready to go. We had money in place. We'd signed the
October.
contract in September.
September, yeah, we got the LLC and everything.
We-
October.
Yep, set up our business. Obviously the LLC and the corporation and all that, and we just kind of kept waiting and waiting. And
Yeah. Is there anything, honestly, that's one of those, it's torturous because you don't know. You have no idea. You're just waiting on your life to start and your business
Yeah,
to
and
start.
we were all working in other jobs, and it's like, okay, well, do I say something to my current employer?
Right.
Do I wait? I didn't say anything to mine until we actually signed and had keys.
Yeah. Well, that was smart because you can't.
Yeah, because any business deal can fall through for any number of reasons, and I didn't, I just didn't want to get into the position where, they know I'm looking elsewhere.
Sure. Well, because there's nothing worse. And you were probably at that place long term, correct?
I was there a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had, so I had, some investment going on there, and I didn't, there was potential for growth or moving up, and I didn't want to, hamstring myself into something that,
Sure.
oopsie, sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
leaving.
Well, and then you got to crawl, back on your hands and knees if anything happens. And they never look at you the same, even though they should understand exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And why you would want to do that, because of course you should want to better yourself, and of course you should want to engage in another business, but if they're not giving you the opportunity there. So
Yeah.
and sometimes they just can't. Could be a husband and wife, I don't know what the situation was, but sometimes it's just the nature of things. But that was very smart. Now Carol and Ken were still working, they're still employed at another restaurant too, correct?
Carol was at
Odegaard.
Odeker.
I was there for like a year. I told my supervisor in October that he
Thinking we were getting
yeah,
pretty
we were
close.
getting close, but we weren't. He ended up quitting. So then my other boss found out, and I was like, oh, but I didn't leave there until February 18th or something like that.
Wow. So that's good. So everything really worked out well. You guys were all smart enough not to say anything once the deal closed. Now, that place had always been a diner. So did you have to do any renovations inside, or was it pretty much like turnkey?
Oh
No,
yeah.
well,
We
it looked like a hunting cabin inside. It's all dark, too
Okay.
dark.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't
was
look like that at all now. So you guys did some
No.
work.
yeah, kind of actually. I think he started New Year's Day.
New Year's Eve, we actually, well,
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we started, literally tore not walls down, but we pulled everything out of the dining room. We moved things,
the booze.
the booths,
Mhm.
tore all the fabric off them, and painted the walls, had the walls wallpapered,
Right.
Drywall to wall.
drywalled the wall, those kind of things, replaced light fixtures, and we did a lot of cleaning
A lot of cleaning.
and painting, and just we really did a lot of refreshing.
Right. Well, the
We
place
didn't have
looks
to change
great.
the actual. We
Yeah.
didn't have to change the structure.
So
No,
it stayed the same. Well, and I love how it's open, and then that you have that long dining counter, and
Yeah.
you don't get that anymore. It's so hard to find one of those, man.
Right.
So that came with the place, right? The dining counter was still there.
Yes.
So
We actually redid the countertop,
okay.
And paintings.
and then my brother reupholstered the booths and the chairs.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a correctional officer.
Is this his first time upholstering anything, or he does this on the side?
Yeah. Nope. This is his first go around with it.
Wow, that's a tough gig actually to upholster. Was he like? Were you with him when he was doing it? Because I know my parents tried upholstering some things, and that was always
Yeah, I went. He called me up and said, "You got to come over here and look at this." And I
Let
was
me
like,
know.
"Okay, do I want to?" But he did. I was stunned. He's very detail oriented. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we were able to, and all we had to do was buy the vinyl and the the stuffing or whatever it's called.
Right,
Came
right.
from home. The
Oh, yeah.
foam,
That's
and
great though, man. Because I mean, that
yeah,
would have cost an arm and a leg if you had had it done professionally.
Oh yeah.
yeah. And we had Ken's friend John came in and did a lot of helping.
Hmm.
Yep.
You know,
All
people,
the-
we just, friends and family really stepped up and helped us out a lot.
Right. That's awesome
And
though. That it really like I think I always say that there's like a good like whenever that happens and it's a community project kind of friends and family, it's just so much love and care goes into it. I think that just sets you off in a good direction.
it does, and it kind of, it makes them feel like they're part of the process.
Sure.
And I think that kind of like you said, it's that sense of community, that sense of bonding.
Right. Right.
And they just, and people stop down to check on us, and it's like, oh, well,
That's
we're
so
getting there.
cool though. But there you go. I mean, you guys are all from Marilla, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
I mean,
Ken's from Elma,
He's from Elmer, but
which
yeah,
is the next town
same
over.
thing.
But
Right.
yeah,
Right. But I mean, that
Well,
just belies the small town thing, right? Everybody's pitching in, everybody's helping together. It's like a little barn raising, right?
yeah. And it was funny because we had so many people they would stop by and say, "Are you open yet?" We're like,
a lot.
no, not
Yeah,
yet.
because you guys are, I mean, literally, like, you're it. You
Yeah,
know?
there's a pizza place and there's a bar and grill,
Right.
but nothing during the day.
No, and
You have to
nothing
go
in
to-
that heart there.
Yeah.
That crossroads area, which I think is, I just love that little crossroads, where the country store is, where you guys are. And then
Yep.
there's a couple little buildings and there's a gazebo. It really is. I was telling Mary and I was telling Sandy this. I think they're getting a kick out of it, but because they're there all the time. So,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
you go out there, it's really retained itself. Since I was a kid, I don't really think much has changed there, but I think that's the beauty of it,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's
it hasn't. I used to walk down to the general. We used to call it the General's Monkhouse General Store,
uh-huh.
and I used to walk down there from home, and we'd go buy penny candy and suckers, and
That's what I was telling Sandy.
No?
Yeah. We did the same thing. We would ride our bikes from West Seneca here all the way out. We'd go to Northrop. We'd take a swim. We'd go to the store at Northrop and we'd get some soda or something.
yeah.
And then we'd pick up more
Really
kids
nice.
along the way. Then we'd stop at Sandy's place, which wasn't Sandy's at the time. Her
Yeah.
parents owned it. And then we would ride our bikes out to that swimming hole past Sandy's. So,
Yep.
it's just a
Yep.
beautiful little town, really.
It is. And I moved back. I lived, like I said, I lived in South Carolina and Florida, and I chose to move back home. I said, I'm done. I'm going home.
Yeah, I had the same experience. Carol, now you and Ken, you guys have been here your whole lives? Did you move away at all, or?
Well, Ken was in the Navy, so we were in Virginia for 3 years.
Okay. So did you miss home? Or is that type of thing where you guys were like, or did,
Well, the day that he got out of the Navy, we found out we were pregnant, and then like 3
Oh.
months later, we found out it was twins, and I was like, I'm moving home because I never knew my grandparents. I had one when I was born,
right,
and all of our parents were still alive. So
right.
I'm like, no, I said, we just decided to move home.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good though. And now, so how long have you guys been friends? Carol, Ken, and you, Julie?
Oh gosh, 15.
Oh, that's good. So you have a long history together then.
Yeah, and we're all in the fire company together. We're all EMTs and firefighters, so
Oh, that's great, actually.
that little different bond, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very different bond, sure. And now you're in the restaurant. Well, there's a lot of commonality to a restaurant and a urgent call.
Yeah.
yep.
Right. I was telling you, I think when we first met, it's like sometimes I remember behind the line, there's no correlation between an emergency situation that deals with your health and the restaurant. But sometimes when there's a line out the door, all the tables are filled, 3 people have called in, your supplier just jacked you up, and you don't feel well, and everybody's in a miserable mood, and you're trying to
Feels
just
the same.
yeah, you just that sense of like dire urgency. And I was always the first one at the restaurant. I think I learned over time to stay calm in the eye of that storm and try to talk everybody off the ledge and try to get their perspective back. Right? Because people lose their perspective, and it will take a matter of a couple orders being wrong, somebody not coming in, or somebody
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally having to leave early, and then in 10 minutes, the whole complexion of the place can change.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, and
Unfortunately, it can bounce back just as quickly.
it does, right? And but I think it's a matter of like somebody just stepping up and saying, "Hey, guys, it's not the end of the world. This isn't an emergency situation. Nobody's
Yep.
dying here." You know?
Yep. One customer at a time.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do. And it's awesome that you guys had the restaurant experience because that's going to help you exponentially as you guys grow into this business together. Because without that experience, I think one of the misnomers about this industry is it's like, what do they say about cooking shows? That, a lot of the people who host cooking shows really couldn't hack it in the restaurant situation.
Yeah, because they have somebody doing everything for them.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't have I think a lot of people have this fantasy about opening up a restaurant, but the reality and the fantasy couldn't be more polar, right?
No, absolutely. It's nothing like what you see in the front of the house is nothing.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, my business, I wouldn't be doing this business that I'm in I mean, I've added more on than I probably should with the podcast and the paper, and I do my own sales, and it's a one person thing. But even on the other side of the business, unless you're getting like treated well and you've got a staff to do everything, this is a grind, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, but people don't see that, nor should they. I mean, it's not, nobody needs to know the the trouble that you see. And it's the same thing in the restaurant. They want to go there. They want to have a great experience. They want to have a great meal, and they don't need to know that three people called in. You're not feeling well that day, and something happened with a supplier, and you're making do with what you have, and God only knows what else is going on. That's the last thing they need to know. They just need
Absolutely.
to, so.
And we were super fortunate because Ken's brother Jamie has been working in the restaurant industry since he was in high school. And he came in and he's been cooking for us. He makes all our homemade soups. He comes up with the specials. He's super creative with it, and has really brought a huge. I don't. It's like, well, wow.
That's really cool.
It just brought it to the next level for us.
Yeah, and so, well, where would you be without that? Really, I mean, I'm sure you guys can cook and stuff, but to have now you've got a fourth head, right, to deal with, and it's somebody that can contribute that much because he's really giving you a good foundation. So,
oh, absolutely, he's just been the rock there, like.
Well, so because he's basically leading the kitchen, correct?
Yeah.
And then you guys are running the front of the house and helping out in the kitchen. You guys are doing everything really, but so Jamie's heading up the kitchen essentially.
Yeah, he like I said, and it's like, hey Jamie, what's the special today? It's not, oh, we want to do this, and we all throw suggestions out and talk things through, but in the end, he's like, oh, this is the soup today. This is what I'm making, or this is what I'm going to do for a special, or hey, why don't we try this on the menu?
That's super cool. Yeah.
He's got kind of a variety of experience in different types of restaurants, different restaurants. So he brings a different perspective to the whole process, and it's really nice.
That's really important too, because if he's that diversified in his skill set, there is a lot that he can bring to the table, and he's also seen a variety of management styles, a variety of cooking stuff, because every place has their own like kind of mantra that they work off of, and so he can take all that, take the best of everything he's experienced, and bring that to you guys then.
Absolutely.
And so all your food is one thing I was wondering too in the process of thinking about this podcast with you, so is the food, so this place prior to you guys owning it, was it there for a long time, or did it change hands and there wasn't really
I believe I know it changed hands a few times. The woman that we bought it from has been here at least 15 years.
Oh, that's huge in this industry.
Yeah, and I don't know the whole history. I mean, like I said, I worked here in high school or in college, but the menus kind of stayed pretty much the same.
Okay.
Which we kept a lot of it's a diner. There's standard items that you get in a diner.
You're not going to stretch too far, right?
Yeah, and people don't want to come in and eat hoity-toity food.
No, and they don't want to get something so different, because it's almost like an assault on your psyche then, because you go there you have an expectation when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
And if you're challenged on that, it's going to really deteriorate your experience right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So you got to give them like their due, and say, well.
Yeah, and our biggest thing is breakfast.
Right.
And they're pancakes, French toast, waffles, eggs, bacon. Those are the basics, and they're the staples, and that's what people, when they go out, they don't want to cook it at home. They don't want to deal with the mess that they get. Nobody wants to clean up after breakfast. It's greasy and
No, listen,
You know,
I make all my meals at home. I had a health issue this past year, so I have to make all my meals at home. Basically, I don't have to, but it's just my way of knowing of what's going in my body now.
sure.
And I've done this in the past to a degree, but I'm never to this level. And you are completely right because it's a process of, this is all handmade. There's nothing that comes prepackaged out of a package. I make it all from scratch,
Right.
so it's no different than trying to make a Sunday breakfast. And there's nothing better, really. It's such a treat to go out for breakfast.
Yeah.
It
And
really
then you
is.
get up and walk away and somebody else cleans up the mess.
Exactly. And you leave satiated and happy, and you're all good.
Yeah.
So that's what you led right into my next question. My next question was how long, well, first was how long it was there prior to you guys owning it. And secondarily, did you keep menu items? Because people probably had been going there for a while with the expectation of getting a certain dish, and
Yes.
you don't want to mess with that.
Yeah. So the big thing is the potato pancakes, which were here when I was here 30 years ago. Um, we do get people that say, "Oh, you don't make them the same," and I try to kindly explain that we bought the building, the business closed,
Right.
and we're trying to do these, but we're using our recipes.
Sure. Sure.
So they may taste different. They're not bad, but they're not exactly the same.
Right.
Um,
And really, I mean, you'd have to go pretty far to have an inedible potato pancake. And I'm sure
yeah,
yours are delicious. It's just probably not the profile they're used to. That's all.
yeah, that's exactly it. And I've had people lecture me on how proper potato pancakes are made, and I just smile and say, okay. And if you don't like them, that's fine. We have other items that I'm sure you'd find
Sure.
enjoyable.
Sure.
But most of the people will tell me they're not the same, but they're very good.
That's all that
So
matters. And they'll get used to it. I mean, it's just, it's probably delicious and they just not the same, it's like
yeah, they're just
it's going over your aunt's house as opposed to your mom's cooking or something. You know what I mean?
yeah, yes, exactly.
That's all it is.
And the reality is it's never going to be the same. I could probably use her recipe, and it still wouldn't really taste the same. Every family has it. My mom's like, well, these don't taste like your grandfather's, but they're good.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And in my family too, we have this special Italian sauce recipe, and it's been handed down through generations. And every time it's the same recipe, but every time somebody else makes it, everybody swears it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right. So
And it's
that's
like,
just what
nope.
it is. And there's a lot of validity to it too. It's no different than you making a sandwich and then me making you a sandwich and with the same ingredients. You're going to say that the one I made for you tasted better.
Yeah,
Right.
because somebody else made it.
Exactly. So, as long as you guys are staying true to yourselves and you're doing a recipe that you're proud of and you're happy with, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and we do the big thing was the potato pancakes and the cinnamon rolls. And the cinnamon rolls have come from the same supplier for years. And of course, with all the supply chain issues, we had issues getting them. So we went to a smaller cinnamon roll, and you get two.
right.
But it is the same product. It's just basically a different shape.
Right.
And just small. They're smaller, and you get more. At first, people are kind of looking at it like, "Huh, what's this?" It's like, no, it is the same product.
You're just
It
getting
tastes the same. It's just a different size.
right. Right. Well, and so those things, basically, what you did is you took the old menu, correct, and then you just added onto it, and you took off some things. I'm sure, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We took off some of the things that we didn't feel were a good fit for us. We added some of our own things, changed things. There's a few things on there like their home fry bowl. It's nothing she'd done at all.
Okay.
I
What goes into that?
That's it's a bowl with home fries on the bottom. It's got some cheddar cheese in there, and then you get your choice of sausage, bacon, or ham,
That's good.
and then eggs any style.
Oh, that's
And
good.
it's all in a bowl, and everybody says the same thing. It's like a big bowl of comfort food.
Well, what's beautiful about that is the way you layered it, because I'm already on that. I can't have food like that anymore. But when I was eating food like that, because you get the egg, right? And if you have it over easy, that yolk cracks and it seeps
Yep.
down to, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
heaven, man.
Yep, and it's all mixed together, and you get a little bite of everything, and every
Yeah.
bite has a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's great, man. So that was your creation, of course, right?
Yeah, I actually saw something similar when I was at Waffle House. They do a hash brown bowl,
Right.
and so we just put our little twist on it. We use home fries instead of hash browns,
Sure.
and we add cheese to it.
Thanks,
and-
Jamie.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
Well, listen, in our restaurant, so I stole so I used to go to the Poppy Seed, which is across from McKinley,
uh-huh.
and they had a chicken tortellini salad there, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I actually stole that, modified it, and put it in our restaurant. It was one of our top sellers. I didn't take it, but I took the idea because I loved it. I was like, I own a
Yeah.
restaurant. How come I should be making this myself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
there's
that's how things, you like you said, you put your own twist on it, and now you have something that's sort of the same, but it's not the same.
sure, sure. So you guys are open from when? Six ish,
7 to 2,
7 to 2,
Tuesday through Sunday.
okay,
So we're closed on Mondays.
which is smart.
We were originally 7 days a week, and realized very quickly that was just not doable. We need time off. You got to do laundry at some point in life.
Yeah, well, listen, we started doing that too, and I think well, I just read a report on this past week. There was one of the news organizations did this thing about what was a 4-hour work week, but then it was also how businesses are actually starting to go back to closing one day a week.
Yeah. And
You
it
know?
seems like, I don't know if it's just country towns or what, but Mondays seem to be the day to close for everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
It was, they're slow days. Everybody's beat after the weekend, and it's just,
Full days.
there's no, I think it was costing us money to be open. So
Well, that's what we did too. I did a cost analysis in our restaurant, and it was definitely like Mondays we were breaking even essentially. And I was
mhm.
like, the benefit personally for not only us but our employees, it would just behoove everybody to take that day off. And you know what happened? Productivity went up and profits went up.
Yep.
So you have to look at it like that. And I think we're starting to see that across a lot of small businesses. You can't, I think what we felt for a long time, whether you're a restaurant or a retail, you felt the pressure of big business, big box,
Yeah,
and
they're open 7 days.
yeah. So you're like, we're going to stay open 7 days, but you have to understand, not you, but the world at large, that you're a small business, and you, like you said, if you're 7 days a week, you're just suffering.
Yeah.
You know, so it really makes sense to do that. So now you've got Carol, you've got Ken, you've got Jamie. Is that it? Is that the whole troop that you guys are running it?
We have a waitress on the weekends, an additional waitress, and then we have a dishwasher on the weekends.
Wow. Listen, if you guys can somehow that's beautiful. If you can keep it to like 6, 7 people, that's
Yeah.
an awesome business, right?
Yeah. And it's a small business. We don't literally, we don't have room for more people.
Yeah, I guess you probably don't. So you have the counter and I love that you guys have all the cooking behind the counter. But what's in the back there? You have your dish stations and stuff. Or?
Yeah, there's dish stations in the back, and then in the way back, we have the soup station in the back as well.
Nice.
And then in kind of the way back
Right.
is our prep area. We have our oven back there, our coolers back there, those kind of things. And then Ken actually makes the omelets back there, the omelets and poaches the eggs back there.
Nice.
Kind of takes it away from the front, so it's not sucking up grill space.
Sure.
And then he's back there doing that, and if we need something, he's prepping stuff for the next day, or he's prepping for later on, for the lunch rush. Running around making salads, just all the little things that you don't think about, and you realize, oh gosh, we got to have somebody doing this.
Right.
We just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's great though, and that's why I asked, because I wanted to know if everything was prepared out front or did you have something more in back. But that's a good way to work too, because then you're not in each other's way, and it also allows him to focus more. Because when you're on the floor like that, we had our place like that too. Everything was open to the public, except for this little back area where we did some of the pizzas and salads and stuff. But it really
and
does.
That's where everybody goes to swear.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of on stage all day.
Yes. Yes.
So you got to be careful with everything. You know what I mean? So it puts even more pressure on you when you have a tough moment or you have a day that's just nonstop busy, having everything like open. But I think the public does appreciate it, and I think it's a pretty much rare thing now that you have that set up like that. You know? And I'm sure
we hear people tell us, "Oh, you need to move the kitchen in the back," and I'm like, well,
that would be a diner.
Yeah, this is what a diner is.
Right.
You're out there, and well, then the added expense would be astronomical.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I think when I walked in the first time, that's so. What I do is I try to find, even in a town like Marilla, even though there's not a lot of businesses, I'm still not picky, but pretty picky about who I want on the show because there's a lot of representation that's involved, and it's got to be the right place. And basically, all it is. If I don't know the business, if I walk in, I'll pick up the vibe right away. And your place has such a beautiful vibe, and it looks great, and it's the right layout and it's the right thing for what it is. Like your expectations met from right when you pull in. You know what I mean? From even the name,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
the sign, it's a really good representation of what you want in a diner in Marilla,
Yes. And
right?
that's, I'm glad you said that because that's really what we were trying to hit. Like we wanted people to feel like it belongs here, you know?
That's a better way to put it. That's exactly what it is. I think. I think that's even. You know what? I'm going to keep that in my muscle memory because that's kind of what I look for, like a businesses that look like even if they're a brand new business, like they belong where they are,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. Because you do see, you're like, what are they do? Why are they here? It doesn't fit the kind of the demographics of
right,
the
right.
area.
Yeah, it happens a
Um,
lot though. People come up with ideas, and it's great that people are willing to try. But it's scary, and sometimes you feel bad because you're like, "Oh gosh," because it's not going to happen. But when you have that good synergy between a business and the town, you're going to thrive.
yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, no, you guys, and listen, for what you're doing, and it makes sense like that. So that's always kind of been a diner,
Yeah.
but there couldn't have been more appropriate owners because you guys are the right age, you guys have the right experience, and you guys know what you want. It wasn't like you have enough experience in the industry. It's no different than even just knowing yourself as a human being, right? You live a certain amount of years, you get to know yourself well enough to know what you want out of life. So you guys chose that with such intentionality that that's why you walk in and you're like, this place is awesome. You know,
Yeah, we're pretty excited.
yeah.
Not every day.
No, because it's a restaurant, but it's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Saturdays and Sundays are usually our busy days. And by Sunday afternoon, we're like, oh, we're so glad tomorrow's Monday. Yeah, I never in my life thought I'd be happy to see Monday come.
no, I know. Yeah. Well, you got to have the breath.
Dread Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta have it. So now you guys stay out of there on Mondays completely. Like you're not taking in stock or anything. You just
Carol spends a lot of time picking up things we need for the week.
okay.
I'm usually home doing book work, or sometimes I'm washing aprons, or those kind of things.
Sure.
So we're still doing stuff for it, but it's not being down here. And part of it is like you said, you walk in and we're on.
Yep.
And you have to be on all the time, and it's kind of nice to turn it off once in a while.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's your job, it's your business, and there's nowhere to go except for
Yeah.
that back area. So you're
Yeah.
just out.
Yeah, you can't go. I mean, I can run back to the back, swear a little bit, and get a drink, or
Sure.
you just take a couple seconds to vent, but you got to go back out with a smile on your face.
Yep. Yeah. Even just a moment to close your eyes, take a breath, right?
Yeah.
And you just walk out again. And that's because you guys, more than anything, too, since it's your business, you're the hosts. You guys
Yeah.
are defining an energy. As the longer I've lived, like the longer that I've just learned that everything is energy, right? So
Yeah.
if there's and it spreads through osmosis in ways I don't even think we completely understand at this point still, right? And you can change the nature, like the coolers, like they have the cooler, the people in the casinos, right? It's that
Yeah.
type of thing. Like you can send off a bad vibe, and it just in a place like that where everything's open,
Yeah.
right? You can
Everybody sees it. Everybody feels it.
yeah, you can define like whether you're gonna have a good experience or an okay experience or like a weird experience where it's like I don't know what happened in there, but so it's important that you do that. And I mean the diner food experience is something that is becoming rarer in this country, and it's also an experience that you have to experience because it's a quintessentially American thing, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and it's more appropriate in a small town to me than it is in a city because that's just the nature of a diner, right?
Yep.
It's-
And everybody's down here gossiping. We hear all the things that are going on in town.
yeah, well, you guys, but when you look at it, where else could you congregate?
You can't. There is nowhere else.
So
There's,
that's yeah,
so we're kind of the town meeting place, and a lot of our customers we see them, once, twice a week. We've got a few that we see almost every day.
Wow.
And it's nice. You get to know them and
Yeah.
what's going on in their lives. And some of them have been our patients.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Exciting.
it becomes it does. In a restaurant, when you feed people, the relationship changes pretty quick, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like a family. It's like coming home.
sure, it is actually. So now you guys, so you're open for lunch still, and now
Yes.
does the menu, like all breakfasts are served all day, correct?
Yes.
So that never gets turned up, but then lunch starts like because I can't order a burger at like 7, correct?
We could,
but
Jamie would
But
probably be back in the back swearing.
I'd hear a couple spatulas. But,
Yeah, so we do have people. We I think we have it on there at 11 o'clock. But we've had definitely my son came in one day, wanted a hot dog at 10 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
we're not going to tell him no.
yeah, you'll accommodate if you can, but essentially the lunch menu starts at 11, but
Yeah.
the breakfast menu runs the gamut from the time you open
All
till 2.
Oh yeah.
So-
And we sell it all day long.
And then what's your biggest thing for lunch?
I'm sorry.
What's your biggest thing for lunch that you have there?
Cheesy steak probably.
What's it served
We
with?
do. Oh, it's like a Philly steak.
Okay.
But we do a lot of burgers.
You do.
It's an Angus burger. It's a third of a pound Angus burger.
Those are so much better than regular beef.
Yeah, and it's cooked how you want it. We put on, it's not Burger King, but we do it your way.
Sure. And the
And,
rolls, where do you get your rolls from?
We're still kind of working on that. Most of the time we get them from Restaurant Depot, but we have actually gone with BJ's.
Okay.
They have like a really nice hard roll.
Yep.
And it's a big roll, but it's not too big.
It's not doughy.
And it's not doughy. And
Yeah, that's got to be right, because the last thing you need when you get because the heat from the patty.
it makes the bun really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's got to have that texture to it where you have, and I think if it's got a nice hard crust on it and it's got a really fluffy interior and it can absorb the heat without collapsing and not getting doughy, then you've got like that bite that you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we always throw them on the grill, get that little crisp.
Yeah, well,
on the
that protects
inside.
right, and that also protects the condensation really, because it almost provides a barrier to the burger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And people are like, it always astounds me. My mom's real tiny, and she came in one day and ate the whole burger. I was like, wow, that's a big, that's a good sized burger.
Right.
I was like, okay, Mom was hungry.
And then you guys have salads, burgers, and then
We do like fried bologna and onions, tuna melts, patty melts.
Patty melts.
Quintessential diner food.
Sure.
The patty melt,
Milkshakes.
and we do nice big milkshakes.
do you have you have a machine there, one of those old fashioned?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, when you guys
until they fall off. They spill everywhere.
yeah, you don't want that to happen. You guys got to get diners, drive-ins, and dives in there after you get established. A little, you get your feet wet and get.
Yeah, we'll get them on our eggs Marilla.
Oh, what's the eggs? Tell me about the eggs Marilla.
So it's almost like a hash brown patty. We call them space cakes for some unknown reason, but
Okay.
it's like a top patty that we make here. So it's potatoes with some chives, and then it's grilled on the grill, and it comes with 2 poached eggs and a Mornay sauce. So it's got some cheese, little bits of ham, and chives in it with some cheese.
That's heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and people are like, "What is this?" And you try to describe it, and then they eat it, and it's just that's huge. Very, very popular.
See, well, and that's your creation, one of your maybe Jamie or you. So that's
that one is because they used to serve eggs Benedict, and making hollandaise is just annoying.
Yeah,
I think
it's a lot,
it's a
right.
pain in the butt. And you go, it's not going to hold. So I said, hey, I was talking to my distributor and about making the top patties, and then I was like, well, let's replace the English muffin with the top patty. And and Jamie's like, we got to get rid of the hollandaise. So he came up with the sauce, and I was like, well, let's put ham in it,
right.
and the chives, and
Canadian bacon.
and instead of Canadian bacon, we do ham. But really the only thing that remained the same was the poached eggs.
See,
Yeah.
but that's a beautiful thing about owning a restaurant that you can do that. You can create these signature dishes that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm sure as you guys get through this more and more, you're going to add more of that stuff onto the menu.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh
because
yeah.
because you need that. You need that profile. I mean, first of all, you guys are lucky because there's really nowhere else to go in Marilla. Secondarily, you're upholding a tradition in Marilla. Right, because that has been a diner, so you guys are stewarding that business, much like Sandy's stewarding her store, and you have this beautiful like little synergy between Sandy and you too, because
Yeah.
you guys are creating this heart of this town, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause-
And keeping it small town.
yeah, yeah, that's the flavor of going into that to have that experience, and that's why I thought it was really important to include Marilla on this. And there was no way that I couldn't do it without Sandy, and there was also no way I could do it without you guys. Once I saw that you guys were there and the diner was open, I was like, could it be a more perfect fit, right? Because you
Yes.
can go out there. There's enough. There's just enough to take a morning, take a day to drive on out there, stop in your place, get some breakfast, and go to
Oh yeah.
Sandy's, and then you can do that little walk, which I'm gonna show on the episode.
Oh yeah, the creation walk.
Yeah, then you could go up to Mary's and get a little bottle of wine, right? And that's
Yep.
like a 4 or 5 hour trip that you're gonna love and you're gonna tell everybody about.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you have to have a place to eat, and you guys are fulfilling that, and you're doing it in a great way because uh, there's so many other things it could have been, and thank God you guys kept it the way it is because it's just going to help the experience when people go out there.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. That's what we hope to be. A place people want to come, sit down, bring your family.
Yep.
Just have a good meal, not super expensive. Enjoy spending time with each other in a nice location that's clean and you're getting good food.
Yeah. And that's all you can hope for. And the thing is, too, now that's what's going to happen. And that's why I'm trying to propagate all these businesses through the show is that you want people to come out there and then it becomes a destination. So anytime they're headed out in your direction, they'll make the trip to your place.
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
that's what you want because you've given them that experience. And that's all this is. You're providing this beautiful food and this great setting in this beautiful little town. And people will make that journey to that. It's not that far at all from anywhere.
No, it's not. People seem to think it's out in the middle of nowhere, but
No.
we're not.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, listen, if I could break one stigma with my show in the next year or two, it's that. It's that we don't, as Western New Yorkers, I don't know how it happened. And at some point, I'm going to do a show specifically about this. I just haven't gotten the answers yet. But comparatively to other areas in the country, we are so locked into our little areas and we just don't break out and we don't cross pollinate.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
I never go up to the North Towns. I had class up there, and I was like, I felt like I was in another country sometimes.
See? Well, but I think that's part of it because it is so, and so I'm glad that you just said that because I say this all the time. So I'm from the South Towns. In the South, the beautiful thing about the South Towns, and we call the North Towns and South Towns South Towns, but South Towns are townships south of Buffalo. But when you get up to the North Towns, it's almost like this wash of where's this one town start, where's this other one begin. You have to go past Amherst to start getting into townships again, but
Yes.
it's just not the same. And so the South Towns, because that's part of the answer. I think that people it is so different when you and I go up
Yeah.
north. We're like, where are we,
And
right?
it's flat. Everything's flat.
Yeah, there's no hills. No, the geography changes. Yeah, there's
You're like, wait a minute.
there's gorges and there's a little rural when you get up towards Olcott or you get up towards Medina, but it's still prevalently flat. Where down
Yeah.
in the South Towns you get this beautiful roll that it kind of extends itself all the way into Pennsylvania
Yes.
and out to the east. So no, I understand, and I think that's part of it too. But you're right. Everybody thinks like Marilla, oh, it's so far, it's so far. And you're like, man, that is just. It's the typical like what is it? Maybe it's another 10 minutes onto the 20 minutes from everywhere Buffalo thing. So if you're up in North
Yeah.
Tonawanda, you can be in Marilla in a half hour.
Yep.
Right. So that's
Yep.
what people got to realize. So if you're headed out in that direction, make the stop. At this beautiful diner, with this beautiful food, these beautiful people, and you're going to have this great experience that you're going to take with you.
Yep. And you can find us on Google.
There you go.
I've had a couple customers tell me they had to Google where we were.
But you're on there. So
But we should show up now. I think if you search it, I'm trying to get on Yelp. It's been a little bit of a debacle, but that might be my age showing.
Well, yeah, but you know what? You're probably in a position too sometimes where that's going to help it too. But I think what's going to really help is just people going there, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, just spreading the word through just old fashioned word of mouth. That I had this great breakfast, I had this great lunch at this great place in this great little town. And Marilla's kind of still one of those towns. People have heard of the name, but a lot of people still haven't been there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it's not a lot going on here, but we like it.
no, but there's enough, and that's what I'm saying. There's just enough to make it worth the trip, right? Because you get a good
Yes.
meal, you go to
Yeah, because
Sandy's.
and you can spend a day. Like you said, there's food, there's shopping. You can, like you said, you can buy a bottle of wine, and you can go on a nice little hike. It's not a hike; it's more of a stroll, but
Yeah, but it's enough,
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I go up there with my son all the time, and we just walk around, and it's just nice being out by the creek and walking through the woods.
yeah, it's peaceful.
Yes.
So, what would you like if you had like 2 sentences? What would you say about your business? What could we like pigeonhole here for you? Like,
Oh, that's a hard question. I feel like I'm in a job interview. What are your
well,
strengths and
I mean,
weaknesses?
we've probably said it 100 times already, but I personally, I just think that you guys, life gave you this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thank God Marilla didn't lose that, right?
Yeah.
Because if somebody else bought that building, who knows what, they could have said, well, we're going to put tanning beds in here, or we're going to put,
Yeah.
who knows,
Yeah.
Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, coming out and see us, and, a good meal for a good price.
Yeah.
In a family atmosphere.
Yep. And that's what it is.
You can bring mom, you can bring grandma, you can bring the kids, and we will have something for everybody.
Yep. Well, that's about it for this episode of the Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember to support the small towns of Western New York in any way you can. They're full of great businesses and people who'd love to see you in their towns. The Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast, the TV series, is a presentation of Discovering Western New York and A.A. Augustine Media Co., and can be found everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening.